as a personal hero for me and as a role model to millions of other women. I discussed her groundbreaking work and how much of what she fought for is now on the line. And I talked about the message Ruth left before she died, stating her, quote, most fervent wish, close quote, that her replacement not be named, quote, until a new president is installed. It's been 37 days since Ruth died. I miss her. America misses her. It has also been 37 days since Mitch McConnell declared he would disregard Ruth's most fervent wish and move ahead with a corrupt and illegitimate process to fill her seat on the Supreme Court. Just 8 days before the election, when tens of millions of Americans have already cast their ballots, and just 15 days before the Supreme Court will hear a case that could overturn the Affordable Care Act, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and their Republican buddies are shoving aside the wishes of the American people in order to steal the Supreme Court seat. Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans violated the long-established rules of the Judiciary Committee to rush their nominee through, giving each other a wink and a nod before they turned a blind eye to their own rule breaking. They even violated the rule Mitch McConnell made up in order to keep one of President Obama's nominees off the court long before anyone was voting. No confirmations of justices in an election year. So they made up the rules, then they broke those same rules. They cheated. Why? Why was it so important that they were willing to turn their backs on the very rules that they had put in place? Why rush through this nomination? Why? Because the Republican Party is scared that they can't win through the democratic process, scared that they can't win by playing by the rules, that they can't win when the American people decide the outcome, that they can't win when elections matter. What we're seeing today is the last gasp of a desperate party, a party working to undermine our democracy so that they can keep pushing their extremist agenda just a little longer. A party that doesn't reflect the views of the majority of Americans or the values that we hold dear. This is a party beholden to billionaires and extremists that is desperate to keep its grasp on power and willing to break any rule, any precedent, or any principle to hold on to that power just a little longer. The Republican senators bat down every concern. No Supreme Court nominee has been confirmed this close to a presidential election. They say, no problem. Republican senators plunge ahead with an illegitimate nomination made by a morally bankrupt president. The Rose Garden ceremony to celebrate the nomination turns into a coronavirus super spreader event. Republican senators brush it off. Republican senators will press ahead with hearings while members of the Judiciary Committee are in quarantine and some of them refuse to get tested. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are dead and millions are waiting for the federal government to finally show up and fight this pandemic. Republican senators say, sorry, no time. Senate Republicans have better things to do than pass a relief package, things like steal a Supreme Court seat. Here's the ugly truth. Donald Trump and his Republican buddies know that confirming Amy Coney Barrett to the nation's highest court is their path to advance an extremist agenda long after the country is fed up and disgusted with their failures. In the middle of an election, in the depths of a pandemic, their extremist agenda is all that matters. And that's why they are so desperate to ram her nomination through the Senate. The confirmation hearings were a sham. The conclusion was foregone, and the nominee spent days ducking and dodging legitimate questions about where she stands on issues of crucial importance to the American people. It was little more than a PR stunt. But what the nominee refused to say was actually very informative. She refused to say whether the ruling upholding the right to contraception was correct. She refused to say whether the government can criminalize a same-sex relationship. She refused to say whether it's wrong to separate children from their parents in order to deter immigration. She even refused to say whether climate change is happening and whether it poses a threat to human beings. This was no hearing. This was a farce. Barrett's attempt to remain silent on key issues spoke volumes. It shows that she believes these critical rights, protections, and values are debatable, up for grabs. And Barrett's refusal to embrace these common sense values shows just how out of step, how extreme Barrett is and will continue to be if she is confirmed. Let's be real. We already know what Barrett is all about. We know why corporate interests and right-wing zealots are so excited about her, why so many Republicans will vote to confirm her, and why Trump, who has handed the judiciary over to the Federalist Society, has nominated her. It is because she will advance their extremist conservative agenda. So her question dodging isn't a problem for them. It's part of their strategy to get her onto the court. They know where she stands, and so do the American people. We already know because her record is clear. Take reproductive rights. President Trump pledged to nominate Supreme Court justices who would overturn Roe. Listen to him. He said he would only appoint someone who would overturn Roe. And then he picked Barrett. In 2006, Barrett signed a newspaper ad calling for the end of Roe and describing Roe as barbaric. She was a member of an anti-choice group while on the University of Notre Dame faculty. And how will she overturn Roe? After all, Roe is the current law of the land. But Barrett has that all worked out. She holds a dangerously radical view on legal precedent. In a 2013 Law Review article, she suggested that the Supreme Court is not strictly bound by precedent and that public debate about Roe leaves open the possibility of overruling it. To state it plainly, Barrett believes women cannot be trusted to make decisions about their own bodies. She is a clear and present danger to Roe. When it comes to the Affordable Care Act, again, listen to Trump himself. He said he would only nominate judges who will end the ACA law, judges who would take away health care coverage from millions of Americans. He picked Barrett. Barrett's record indicates that's exactly what she will do, work to gut key provisions that protect millions of Americans. She criticized Chief Justice Roberts' opinion in 2012, upholding a critical part of the ACA, saying that he, quote, pushed the Affordable Care Act beyond its plausible meaning to save the statute, close quote. In a media interview in 2015, she said that in another Supreme Court decision that upheld the ACA, the dissenting justices who wanted to overturn the ACA had the, quote, better of the legal argument. While claiming just to follow the text of the law, Barrett's record shows that her purported textualist approach is nothing but a facade, merely a cover for her to reach a result that will further the interests of those with money and power.